Welcome. In our previous session, we have gone through the topic system call and the kinds of system call. Again, in the kinds of system call, we came to know that there are certain operating system management, and each management has its own kind of system calls, like the process management, memory management, information management, protection, security, etc. So let's continue the same session again with much more extension. See, when you're speaking about the concept, the system programs, so what do you mean by system program? So recall our first tutorial. So in the system program, that means system program is a program or it's an application which is also, so system program, it's also known as the system utility. Means it's a small set of program or a small set of programs which provides a convenient environment for program development and execution. So let us try to know what is meant by a system program and what exactly it is doing. So system program is an application or a collection of programs which is providing a convenient environment for program development and execution. And there might be many kinds of system programs in your computer, or there might be many system programs available with your computing. So these system programs are divided into, the first category is the file management. So what do you mean by file management? We are saying that system program means are the system utilities or system basic modules or operating system basic modules which are creating or providing a convenient environment. Correct. So don't be confused, my friends. Let me try to explain a little bit more detail. For example, the programming language, C programming language or the Java programming language. So these are all the programming languages. These languages can be used. Okay. So these languages can be used, or these software can be used to develop another software. And such kind of softwares are called compilers. Such kind of softwares are called as compilers. So this is a kind of system program. Right. And for example, during program execution or during any application, you need to load some information or you need to reload some programs. For that, you need to have a loader. Loader is another module or another system utility, operating system utility. So compiler is one kind of system program. Loader is one kind of system program. At the same time, during program execution, you need to link with some kind of addresses or some other modules. During program execution, you need to link with various programs or various project files. And this will be taken up by the linker, Linker, linker. So linker is another system utility or system program. So likewise, my dear friends, we have different kinds of system programs, and basically these system programs are being divided into 6 categories. These system programs are being divided into 6 categories. The first category is the file management. That means whatever the system program you have, if it is working for the file manipulation or file management, then those are categorized as the system programs related to the file management. Something like these utilities will try to create files, delete files, copy the files, renaming the files, printing the files, the dumping the files, and listing the files, and manipulating the files and the directories. So this is the task done by the system programs related to the file management. I think you are getting my intention, right? So the first category is the file management. So where the system programs related to the file management can do certain activities like create, delete, copy, rename, print, etc. And in the operating system or the system programs which are related to the second kind, that is the status information. System programs related to the second kind, that is the status information. So these system programs tries to fetch or tries to provide the status information of the currently executing system. Something like these utilities can give the system date, the system time, or the system disk space. See, all these utilities you can see in your operating system. When you open your My Computer in the Windows environment, you can see the C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive, etc. And you can also visualize how much amount has been used, how much amount has been remaining, etc. So how this is going on because of the status information system program or the programs available with the operating system. These programs are doing that job, giving the status information. How much, what is the system time? Even for the Windows system or any machine, Linux system or Mac system, you can see the system time regularly as a continuous fashion. So that system time will be provided by the system programs which gives the status information. Right. And the third category is the file modification. Don't be confused with the first one. The first one is the file management, and the third category is the file modification. So to modify a file, what we need? We need some text editor. Okay, we need to modify the file. We need to have some text editor. The best text editor is the Notepad. Whatever you do, you want to do, you can modify the text through the editor, the text editor. Example, Notepad. These notepads are available to create and modify the content of files stored on the disk or other storage devices. That means even the notepads is a basic utility or which is a system program intended for the file modification. And the next category is the programming language support. It is very easy for you, friends. Programming language support means straight away you can say that the compiler is the best example for that. Compiler is the best example. Your C program, normally we call it as a C programming, but it is a compiler. Compiler means a language, it's a programming language. For programming language support, what are the things we need? We need to have a compiler. We need to have some assembler. When you try to write the program in the assembly language code, then you need to take the advantage of the assembler. For debugging, you need to have the debugger. And for during running, so during running, you need to work with the interpreter. So these are the system programs or the system utilities for the programming language support. What are they? The compilers, assemblers, debuggers, interpreters, etc. And mostly operating system, these are the system utilities are provided to the user with the operating system. Right. Next, the next category is the program loading and execution. So to load something and to execute something, we need to have separate kind of system programs. They are the loaders, the relocatable loaders, the linkage editors, the overlay loaders, etc. And even for the debugging, we have already gone through, but for the debugging, we also need some kind of special system programs. Correct. So this is the fifth category, that is the program loading and execution. Here, in this category, we can see some kind of loaders, absolute loaders, relocatable loaders. So these programs will try to load the program in the main memory. There's a basic work for them. And these programs will also try to link various project files, and they are called as the linkage editors or the linkers or the overlay loaders. And the last category is the communications. So you might be writing some program in C language or the Java language, Java programming language, for communicating between two devices using some kind of socket programming. So from your computer, your data might be transferring, you are establishing a network, and your data might be transferred to another computer. So such kind of networking programs you can write. And and the system programs which are intended for communication purpose, they're categorized in the communication group. So what exactly they do? They allow users to send messages from one system to another system, or one screen to another screen, or one screen to the web browse through something like the electronic mail or the email, or they can communicate to the remote login. And the best example I can say, if you are working with the TeamViewer, if you are working with the TeamViewer or the AnyDesk in your Windows operating system, the TeamViewer or AnyDesk in the Windows operating system, the TeamViewer tries to connect the remote computer, your friend's computer. From your computer, you can connect your friend's computer. Probably try to make an experiment with that, the TeamViewer. So that is a kind of system program, or that is a kind of system utility which falls into the category of communication. So these are the various system programs, my dear friends. The first category is the file management, and the second category is the status information. And these status information system programs are normally being associated with the operating system. They try to provide you the system time, the system date, and totally how many disks are there, what are their current status, how much storage space is available, how much space has been already been used, etc. And the third category is the file modification. These file modifications mean whenever you say something, file modification means you need to take the help of the editor. You need to take the help of text editor. So editors falls into the third category. And when you say the fourth category, that is the programming language support. Straight away you can recall that for programming language support, you need to take the support of the compiler and the interpreter. For compiling, compiler. For running, you need to take the help of interpreter. Okay. At the same time, assemblers, debuggers are also being used for programming language support. And then the fifth category is the program loading. To load some data, to load some program, you need to take the help of the loaders and linkers. And the last category is the communication. And the best example I have given you, the TeamViewer, TeamViewer. TeamViewer, some kinds of software which tries to communicate with the remote computer, where you can send the data from one system to another system through the mode, through the web browser or any other kind of sockets. Let us move to the next concept, that is the operating system structures. Recall friends, there are different kinds of operating system which we have seen in our earlier classes. The first operating system, or the basic early operating system coming from the Windows segment, is the MS-DOS structure. Correct or not? Just go through the picture, you can see the picture. This is the basic MS-DOS structure, and in the low level, or it is an operating system. It is an operating system. MS-DOS is an operating system. That means disk operating system. MS-DOS, Microsoft Disk Operating System. This is an operating system which supports for the command based, or it is working with the CUI, the command user interface. Correct. So in this structure, what you can see, what is the basic layer? Totally we can see the 4 layers. The first layer is the BIOS layer, BIOS, the BIOS, basic input output system, BIOS layer. After that you can see the device drivers. After that you can see the resident system program, and the last one is the application program. Let me try to explain in a simple manner. So this is the first and simple design created by the Microsoft, the so-called Bill Gates and his team. It is a simple design which has been created during 90s, early 90s. So what is the first layer? That is the The first layer is the BIOS. We call it as the BIOS. See, recall that whenever you try to boot up your system, or whenever you try to start your system, right, the basic set of instructions are been coming out from the ROM chip, that is the read-only memory chip, correct or not, right? So the basic activities or basic instructions are being permanently copied or permanently stored in the ROM storage or ROM device, and this storage is called ROM BIOS, ROM BIOS BIOS. So the basic set of instructions, the basic input output set of instructions or basic device drivers which load the operating system, or which can take the support of operating system, are being permanently copied in the ROM BIOS, correct? So that is the first layer. After that, what is the second layer? You can see the MS-DOS device drivers, right? The second layer is the device driver. The set of device drivers of MS-DOS, the Microsoft Disk Operating System, is acting as the second layer. Friends, we are discussing about the MS-DOS structure. Don't be confused that it is a simple operating system, not of much high complicated hierarchy. It's a 4-layer hierarchy. The first layer contains the ROM BIOS, that means the ROM chip which contains the instructions. It is a module 1. The second layer is the set of device drivers which support for the MS-DOS. That's it. And the third layer is the system program, the resident system program, or the operating system, you can say that, or the collection of all the system program, or resident system program. Here I am saying that resident system program means the operating system is residing in the main memory. And the top layer contains the application programs or user developed applications. This is a simple structure, my dear friends. The first layer contains the ROM BIOS device drivers. Second layer contains the MS-DOS device drivers. And the third layer contains the resident system program. And the last layer contains the application program, right? So whenever user wants to interact with the operating system, he can take, with the help of the system program, he can interact with the MS-DOS device drivers, right? And also in the MS-DOS layout, the system program or the application program can directly interact with the device drivers also. That is the basic advantage, but it is an issue with the security kind. And in this layer, every layer has an interaction with the other layers. So the application program can directly interact with the resident program. At the same time, the application program can directly interact with the ROM BIOS. And the same principle follows with the resident system program also. The resident system program means an operating system which is resided in the main memory, and that can directly, without the interaction with the device drivers, it can directly work with the ROM BIOS. This is a security issue, but still the system structure is like that. And the last layer, the third layer, is the MS-DOS device drivers layer, where it can directly interact with the ROM BIOS layer. It is a simple structure in the initial phase where you have a lot of theory, operating system theory, but implementing that much of theory is very complicated. So the Bill Gates and his team has created this 4-level, the MS-DOS layer structure, in which it contains the 4 layers. The first layer deals with the ROM BIOS, second layer deals with the set of device drivers associated with the MS-DOS, that means the operating system. The third layer is the resident system program, where it is the actual system program, or where it is the actual operating system resided in the main memory. The last layer contains the application programs. When speaking with the Unix operating system, it is little bit much more complicated, much more complicated, and much more sophisticated. The Unix operating system, when you speak about its structure, it is much more, even I am saying about the traditional Unix system structure, this is not a well versioned or well refined structure, rather it is a traditional system only. The early system, even the early system has 4 layers, but again these layers are much more sophisticated, much more of completed in nature. The bottom layer, or the the least layer contains the terminal controllers or the terminals, and the bottom layer contains the disk controllers or the disks and tapes, and the memory controllers and the physical memory. So that is mean whenever you speaking about the last layer, you always speak with the names or the terms of the hardware. So when you have the hardware component, automatically for every hardware component you have the component controller. So in the traditional Unix structure, the last layer deals with the hardware as well as their controllers. Right. Next, the next layer comes with the interface, the operating system interface to the hardware. That is called the kernel interface to the hardware. That is the next layer. And apart from that, the next layer is, the top layer is the actual operating system, which we call it as the kernel, the basic library which operating system can perform all the basic activities is called the kernel. Correct. So what are the activities which the kernel can do? The kernel is having some kind of accessing with the terminal drivers. It can work with the file system. It can work with the disk and the tape drivers. It can do the CPU scheduling. It can do the page replacement. It can do the demand paging concept. It can do the virtual memory concept, and it can work with the terminal handling, etc. And it can also work with the terminal drivers. So these are the basic set of activities normally the kernel is doing. What are the basic set of activities? The file system activities, the disk and tape driving activities, the CPU scheduling, page replacement, demand paging. Don't be confused with these words. We are going to learn about these concepts in near future. So assume that these are the activities done by the kernel, and assume that kernel is the basic core of the operating system where it is doing all the basic activities. And after that, about the kernel, what exactly we are having? We are having the shell. Let it be the Unix shell and the commands. We have seen different kinds of shells like the Korn shell, the bash shell, etc. So all the shells are at the top layer to the kernel. And after the kernel, you can see the users sitting, working through the kernel, interacting with the operating system. Again, operating system is making an interface to the hardware. It is very simple in structure, simple in layer, but again it is much more complicated and much more sophisticated when compared to the MS-DOS system structure. So that's why we can say that the traditional Unix system structure is much more well versed when compared to the traditional MS-DOS structure. If you see the same operating system in a layering manner, if you see the same Unix operating system in a layering manner, in a layering dimension, you can see that you can have n number of layers. You can have n number of layers, right? So don't be confused about these layers. So layering is something like it is a logical concept. Actually, it is not a physical concept. Layering is something like it is a logical concept. It means it's an assumed dimension. Correct. The MS-DOS, the Unix or the Multics, all these operating systems, they work, they execute or they work in the layering mechanism or the layered structure. Let me try to explain. It's very simple. See, when the operating system is working, when the operating system is working, when any application or when any program or task or process is executing at the least layer, at the layer 0, that means it is going to directly work with the hardware, right? So if it is working with the layer 1, means every layer has its own set of privileges. Every layer has its own set of privileges. Assume like that. If you are in layer 0, you can directly work with the hardware. If you are in layer 1, of course you can work with the hardware, but you have lower set of privileges. Means you cannot able to work in a full-fledged manner. Rather, you can be working with less number of privileges. If you're working with the layer 2, again your privileges are a little bit less. So if you're working with the layer and the topmost layer, at most you can have least number of privileges. So operating system decides the user process at which layer it has to be executed. This is a very important statement. Operating system decides a particular process at which layer it has to be kept, at which layer it has to be processed. Based upon the layer, that process will get its own privileges. If the process is working at the user level, then call it as the user level. If the process is working in the MS-DOS, in the Windows operating system, if the process is working with the user level, call it as the user layer or user level. If it is working in the operating system, then you call it as a system trap or operating system level. We have two levels in Windows environment. Level 0, level 1. Level 0 comes with the operating system mode, level 1 comes with the user mode. Whereas in Unix and Mac operating system or Unix and Multics operating system, you have n number of layers. Assume that the 0th layer has the supermost powers, the superpowers, and the nth layer has the least number of privileges. Operating system decides at which layer a particular process has to be kept to be executed. If it is in the lower layers, the process has most number of privileges. If it is in the topmost layer, the process will have least number of privileges. And operating system also can switch a process from one layer to another layer based upon the requirement. So the same case works with the Multics operating system also. So up to now what we have seen? We have seen the basic MS-DOS structure which contains the 4 layers. The first layer is ROM BIOS, the second layer is the device drivers, the third layer is the resident program, and next layer is the application program. Right. So there is a structured layer, and when you try to see the same structured layer, when you try to see the same structured layer with the Unix is also having the 4 layers, but in the least layer it contains the hardware controllers, and above to that it contains the kernel interface to the hardware, and the intermediate layer is the actual operating system layer which works with the CPU scheduling, the page replacement, the file system, everything. It is having an interface to the shell and the commands, the interpreters and the system libraries. And the topmost, you see the users. So this is about the traditional Unix system structure. Now, try to visualize the same structure when it is working, when a user program is been working. Now, where at which location or at which layer this program is been executing, you can visualize in the form of layers, right? So that is called the layered operating system. If the program is working at the least layer, something like it is in the operating system mode or it is working directly with the hardware. If the process or program it is working with the topmost layer, the privileges are getting less. Let us move on to learn about the virtual machines. Actually, virtual machine we have used the same word previously, but anyway, let us see the fundamental idea. The fundamental idea behind a virtual machine is to abstract the hardware. See, the fundamental idea behind the virtual machine is to abstract the hardware of a single computer. So that means the virtual machine concept is trying to make an illusion such that it is creating an illusion such that each separate execution environment is running on its own private computer. So that means in the virtual machine concept, even though you have one physical computer, one physical computing resources, that's it. But the virtual machine concept is something like it is a job done by the operating system where it is trying to create different kinds of logical environments for different applications, for executing different applications or for executing different projects. Each project needs a different environment or each project needs a different kind of hardware, and the virtual machine concept is trying to create an illusion that each project will be seeing one different environment copy such that the application program can be executed. So instead of having one single environment, the virtual machine concept is creating different environments The virtual machine is creating different environments. Even though physically you are having only one system, but it is an illusion. Friends, try to visualize that it is an illusion. That user application or user project can be executed in different projects. So that is little bit more easy to execute for different projects. For example, you have a project which you need to be using the hardware in a different fashion, and you have another project which you need to execute the hardware and operating system in a different fashion. Then you cannot mix both these projects working in the same physical environment. Rather, try to create an illusion, something like environment 1 for project 1, environment 2 for project 2, environment 3 for project 3. So this is a clever job done by the operating system, which tries to create an illusion of having separate execution environments, and each project or each system application will try to assume that, yeah, right now I am having my own executing environment and this is my own private computer. You can see the same in the picture. In the left side, this is a non-virtual machine in which you have some hardware, some operating system, some job. But in the right side, when you have the virtual machine concept, then automatically the same hardware or the same system has been created with 3 environments in which processes. Project 1 is working with VM1, project 2 is working with the second virtual environment, project 3 or the processes, some processes are working with the virtual machine environment 3. So that's all, friends. In the today's session, we have gone through the system programs and the categories, and after that we have seen the operating system structures, both the MS-DOS structure and the Linux structure. At the same time, we have also seen the same structures in the form of a layering mechanism. And after that, we have seen that for executing different kinds of project, it needs different kinds of environments, and virtual machine is a kind of concept of the operating system where it can create an illusion of having different environments for different projects. That's all, friends. Hope you understand my session. We'll meet again soon. Bye.